what have you been speaking about at this workshop? I mean, what is an atheist doing at a conference on worship?
Yeah, God knows. Well, I'm interested in certain things which have relationships with worship, I guess. And I've done some work on gratitude, which is connected, and I've even recently written on duties to history and the relationship between the generations and things like that. So I think there's, it makes sense for me to be in the territory. Partly I also, maybe I just want to be, in a sense. I mean, I'm completely secular, and I am an atheist, but as Sarah Berlin once said, I'm tone deaf to religion, to God. But on the other hand, it's life, and there are certain things about worship that make life better, and they make life better for believers. There's of course also problematic things, but I'm interested in the question whether we could, whether and how far at least, and whether we, in a significant way, we can find meaning in life. True ritual, true worship, without taking on theistic baggage, and and I think we can. I think one example which clearly works for people is people worship sports heroes, and they are interested in sports and they find value in sports, and I'm one of those people, and so that's one place. I think one way in which philosophy can help us is to make us see things that we normally miss out on and we don't recognize. And it can be difficulties or puzzles or paradoxes. So in that way, and I've done my share in there, finding trouble, making trouble for things that we think are established or can be defended. But I think going in the opposite direction as well, I think we can do significant work and help people find meaning in their lives by uncovering things that have potential and that can make life better, or at least more interesting or fun, that we neglect for various reasons. For example, because we think that worship is just for religious people. In a way, to start from this is an example I gave in my talk that I think can indicate the sort of thing I want from really meager resources. I mean, there's when my daughter was very young, she when she was in school, she got from some of the other school children this sort of ritual whereby you when walking, you had to take care not to step on certain patterns on the road, on the sidewalk, and you actually it was good to step on certain other patterns. And then she told me about it, and I started following it. And to this day, it's quite some years, and we're both adults now, and both secular and atheists. But we keep doing it, and when we do it together, it's a lot of fun, and we're self-conscious about it. But I do it, I think, sometimes even unconsciously, but sometimes consciously. Even if I'm alone doing it, then I remember that this is something I share with her. And it doesn't have to be a huge communal thing. Basically, it's a community of two here. But it gives meaning, it gives a sense of togetherness. It's fun, you're paying attention. There's a sense in which, even if it's the very small thing, but you pay attention to something, and then you notice things about what it makes you feel, for example. For me, and I think for her, that's been significant. And now the content here of this ritual is really quite meager. So it doesn't have, I don't think it comes quite up to the level of worship, but if we just add content and we think about, it can be music, it can be art, it can be other forms of value, it can be knowledge, it can be people we admire. I mean, this is quite a lot, or nearly everything that religious worship can give us. Admiration and awe and devotion and great interest and gratitude and appreciation, and so much of what can focus on a deity can get by focusing on other sources of value. It doesn't have to. We don't have to be crazy perfectionists. We don't have to go for the ultimate. We can settle with less. And I think we have some missions here that or at least some things that we might learn from. We might think about moderate worship, which is appropriate. We don't want to get into mad hero worship and treat people, human beings, as though they were gods. But nevertheless, there are genuine heroes. There are moral heroes. There are people who have who contribute a lot, who do admirable things. People who we are and ought to be in awe of. We don't need to be subservient to them. We don't need to obey them, but we certainly can appreciate them and be in awe for them, etc., and have all these other attitudes which come within the scope of worship, and that would be good. And I think that one other aspect of modern life is that, in a sense, because we've become so secular, because perhaps we're cynical and we're afraid that people will make fun of us, or whatever other reasons there might be, we're afraid of devising these rituals for ourselves. So I think that, and I think the society has become in a way poorer by that. So we should perhaps we should we don't need to call the people saints, but we can mark days of special people who we think are our heroes. I mean, for example, for me as a philosopher, I mean, David Hume, the philosopher, he was actually in a sense a saint. I mean, all the indications are that he was a wonderful person, and he was certainly a model philosopher, not in terms of the content necessarily of what he said, but any way he did, in the courageous way he did philosophy, and that's for me is something. So, and I'm not afraid of saying that he is a hero of mine, and certainly we can find in other areas of life people who we greatly admire, and it can be a Mandela, it can be a Sakharov, it can be Martin Luther King, etc. They're great figures that we can revere, and we can, in some sense, have attitudes that are similar to moderate worship, at least.